Dude, you have a nice bathroom in there. It made me think about
Steam. So it's a funny story with that bathroom. When I moved here, um, when I came from LA, they didn't have basements. So, it was like, cool, I got a basement. I could put my gym in the
Yeah.
basement. So, I knew I would have clients. And so, sometimes people want to take a shower. So the
Yeah.
guy who was building the bathroom, I'm trying to explain, kind of design what I want. I said, I'd like a shower that's big enough that you can get like 5 people in.
Yeah.
And he's like, you
Trying to
take
have
a shower with 5 people?
trying to have
And
a
he's
party,
like, oh,
bro.
you're from California. I'm like, but, for steam, it's not, you want to sit in there with your buddies and or
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah, yeah. I lived in this flat downtown for a little bit,
Hmm.
and it had a big shower like that with the whole bench going all the way
Oh, yeah,
around.
it's got the Swedish showers with the different heads and stuff.
Yeah,
I
dude.
mean, I definitely, recovery,
Oh
when
yeah.
it gets a steam or a sauna, and I like the moist heat better than the dry heat.
Do you?
Although now, like growing up, my parents had a sauna in their house, and like all the wrestlers and stuff would come over, and like when to make weight would get in there in their, sweat clothes and stuff before the match to weigh in and stuff. But I like the steam better.
Do you?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm kind of more of a dry kind of guy for sure. I definitely like the dry sauna. But man, there's no better way to start sweating faster than with like when you start adding that moisture and you get the
Oh
steam
yeah.
in there.
I love, and I've got the hot tub out back, so it's like from there to outside, and it's really nice in the winter
Dang, so
when
you
it's cold. So like I'll come in here and I'll
yeah.
take a steam. I'll sit in there for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and and then I'll walk upstairs and go outside and jump in the hot tub. And
Yeah.
like doesn't matter how cold it is. It's like steam's coming off. You're warm, and your
Right.
just body feels so loose. Even, and it's so cold. But even when you get out, you can just sit out there. Your body's still
Just so
good.
hot.
Yeah,
Dude,
that's
so
just
you've kind of been ahead of the curve for a minute then if you're doing like steam or like the sauna when you were a kid.
16, 17 years old.
Yeah, like that wasn't even a big thing during the time. I think even now it's gaining more ground. There's a lot of science to support, the
Oh yeah.
sauna, but like you're
Well,
doing it.
the people. There's some people that are really into ice.
Yeah,
Like I want to get an ice tub and soak
yeah.
that. But yeah, the sauna had some funny stories in high school because it was in the bathroom and you'd have a party there. There's still one party, or still once in a while get brought up by some guys that I know from back then. Like guys would hide in the sauna and then girls would go into the bathroom.
Oh,
And one time, we're out there. There's a scream. What's going on? One guy was hiding in the bathroom. Like God,
kids
I
being
never did.
kids
But
being kids.
16, 17-year-olds, I guess. Back then.
Dude, hormones are going crazy. All you can think about is just
They still are.
yeah.
It doesn't stop.
You don't think so?
Not for me.
Not for you. You're like you. I mean, you're a young dude though. Like,
When people say, I don't know what that feels like. I mean, it's like I don't feel my age. I don't know what the age is supposed to feel like. It's like when I
right,
turned 60 a couple years ago, people are like, oh my God, you're 60. What's it feel like to be 60? I go, probably not what it feels like for you to be 60. But,
right.
I hang around with people and I train with people who are younger, and I just feel like, I guess some of them I could be their dads. Like they go, you're like my dad's age, but I just don't feel like that.
Right.
I think it's,
Well,
it's,
you've
it's
always
an attitude.
it really is. There's that, but then like you've just always taken care of your body. When we went and did that stair workout, like I mean, you had no issues just pushing it. Like you push the pace. So you wrestled
No,
as a
no,
high
I didn't
schooler?
wrestle.
You didn't
I
wrestle
had
in high
friends
school?
I had friends.
Oh,
I
you weren't
wish
the wrestler.
I wish I wrestled. Man, I would be
Oh,
so much better at jiu-jitsu and all
dang.
that now. But
Well, you have
I
such a
played soccer and baseball. I was always athletic, and I trained. But I've been working out since I was 15, like with weights.
yeah.
And started training there.
Well, I
So
would have. You have such a strong mind. It seems like just from all the
for
times that
some
we've.
things, for some things, I'm weak in other things. But training's just something I've always.
Yeah.
I start thinking back, why, how it started. But I've always, once I started, I learned the right way.
Yeah.
In high school, back, I was thinking when back in high school, it was like going to the weight room and how much do you bench, and everybody's trying to lift as much as they can. And,
Yeah.
what happened for me was when I was junior, my summer year of my junior year, one of my best friends was all state in football. and he was smaller. And the coaches were like, if you want to get a scholarship next year, you've got to start working out and get a little bigger. And he joined a gym, and I joined too. We joined George Turner's gym in St. Louis. And, back then, now there's CrossFits and, Shred and, Orange Theory. There was,
yeah,
maybe two gyms in the city besides,
like the YMCA.
yeah, and women weren't in the gyms then working out. This was probably 1975.
Yeah.
And so at Turner's, it was open 7 days a week, and women could work out like on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. They closed half the gym, and the women worked out in one half, and the men worked out in the other half. But the other days it was just all men. I guess women could have came on those days. They didn't lift back then.
Yeah.
Really.
No, they probably didn't. And even now, I mean, you still have like the curves. Or is curve even around anymore? Like, you know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah,
curve
sure,
gym?
curves, and they had cuts, and it was like for people who
They're
were
like geared towards women.
yeah,
Yeah.
and also women who didn't really train much. They were more out of shape, and it was like
Oh yeah.
secure for them to get in there. And
Yeah. So were you just doing like bodybuilding type workouts
so
then?
back then, that's pretty much
That's all that
how
was
people
around, right?
really trained. I mean, there was power lifting and Olympic lifting,
Yeah.
and at Turner's, there were people who did powerlifting lifts, the deadlifts and the squats and the bench press.
Yeah.
But it was mostly, bodybuilding. I got into it. I can remember, being, 10, 12 and having comic books, and in the back there was, Dave Draper and Rick Wayne were like big bodybuilding. There were ads there, build big arms, and
Yeah.
the Charles Atlas ads, and I was always, I can remember on the bus, I was looking at it one time, and the bus driver looked at my magazine. He goes, those aren't real. That's all fake. Those guys' arms aren't that big. And I was like, what?
Hater.
Yeah. And I was like, but so, like I said, I joined the gym like in high school, and, I just learned the right way to train.
Yeah.
And then, back then it was like Arnold and Franco and,
Right.
I loved the history, the early bodybuilders and
Right.
the strongmen. I always was interested in that. And
Yeah. I sat down and had a conversation with a guy by the name of Dave Whitley.
Dave Whitley, sure.
Yeah, he's
He's a big kettlebell guy, but strongman, grip strength, and I
Right.
think he's in Tennessee or.
Yeah, he's down in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I went down there and I talked to him, and he tried to teach me how to rip some cards in half.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's just those old time strongman strengths. Those feats were just unbelievable.
Sandow. Well, the Sandow Trophy was the Mr. Olympia model. He was like in the 1890s, I think.
Was he a strongman?
1900. Yeah, like back then I guess they went around in circus and performed strength, and
Yeah.
I guess Louis Cyr, he was the Canadian Samson, all these old time guys. But I just basically, back then there was Muscle and Fitness, and maybe there was Iron Age or Iron Man magazine. There wasn't even that many,
Yeah, there's not many
magazines.
resources.
And you would just follow it, and a lot of it now when I look back, it was to sell product and
Yeah.
and
That's
was
still,
advertising, but follow this routine and
yeah, that's still going
but-
on today though. I don't think
Yeah.
that's changed much.
yeah,
People just trying to just sell shit all the time. So,
everything.
So you got into fitness just because, I mean, you're an athlete, and then you just felt you gravitated towards it, and like it was just kind of like this thing that because I remember whenever I started working out, I had this like this resistance to it because it was like, oh, like I have to do this thing for the sport that I wanted to do. Like I love playing the games, like I loved wrestling, I loved playing football at the time, but it was just like this was just something that I had to do this other thing. You know what I mean? I didn't like fall.
There's always a girl involved. I think there was someone. I think I was like.
Was that
I was
it for
like
you?
I was working out, and I started working out, and I think there was this one girl I liked in high school, and she started going out with the football quarterback, and I was like, I'm just gonna get big.
Just
At
get
first you
jacked.
do it almost for someone else, but in the end, it's really
Yeah.
it's about you.
Yeah,
and,
like-
and what you get out of it.
Right. Yeah, like the passion grows from there.
Yeah.
Dang. So what took you out to LA?
Well, I
Was it a girl?
no. When I got out of college, I was a theater major.
Okay.
And so I'd always trained, like through school and stuff. And so I was a theater major. And like during college, I would go out to LA in the summers. And like one summer, I drove out there with a buddy in a Jeep, and we would go to Gold's Gym.
Yeah,
We would go out there and just,
like the one in Venice.
the one in Venice,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think the first time I went out there, I worked here one summer with a buddy. We worked at the Ford Motor Plant, like the night shift. And we worked there for like a month, 6 weeks. It was like a summer job. And back then it was like, 15, 16 bucks an hour was a lot for a kid.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And we saved our money. And he had a friend who was going to UCLA and like had an apartment there, and he wasn't there for the summer, and it was vacant. And he said, if you guys want to come there, you can stay in my apartment. So we went there for like 4 weeks. We flew out there, stayed in his apartment, stayed in Westwood, and we would work out down at the gym on campus, and then we'd go to, take the bus out to Gold's Gym and hang out there. And
Wow.
it was just seeing all the
I imagine were the big names around then at that point?
oh yeah.
Yeah, you
I
probably
think-
got to see everybody.
Back then, some of my favorite bodybuilders, I like Danny Padilla, and I always geared towards the shorter, stronger guys. In
Yeah.
high school, people would kid me, call me Franco, and always trying to be strong and
Yeah.
stuff. But, yeah, I mean, all those guys, those were, it's like I couldn't even tell you 5 bodybuilders now. I don't follow it. It's
Yeah.
so different, the sport.
It's a way
And I'm
different
sure
sport.
steroids were back then too, but it was a lot. The bodies there, they were different. I
Yeah.
mean, Frank Zane and
They're-
Steve Davis, all those guys.
They probably seemed a little bit more like obtainable.
Totally.
Yeah, like they're actually like normal people. They're just like a little bit bigger.
Hmm.
It's such a science these days.
Oh yeah.
These dudes
all
are
the,
fucking jacked.
yeah.
Like the Kai Greens and the fucking Michael Harris.
Oh yeah. They don't, and something about like the bodybuilders now. When I look at the magazines and stuff, like with the bloated bellies and
Yeah.
Do you ever like follow Dorian Yates?
Yeah.
I follow him on Instagram. I mean, he was like Mr. Olympia like 6 or 7 years in a row. He was
Right.
one of the all-time greats. Him and Lee Haney.
Yeah.
He was like 8-time Mr. Olympia.
Yep.
I
Ronnie
follow those
Coleman.
guys. Well, yeah, those guys.
Those guys are something else.
Yeah, I mean, Ronnie Coleman, I mean, it's just eventually it just breaks you down, and that's the thing is getting older. I still train hard and I push myself and I like lifting heavy, and sometimes you'll go to the gym and you'll see people training heavy, and
Yeah.
you just have to take the ego out of it a little bit.
Oh,
I
yeah.
train hard in different ways.
Yeah.
I still like to push.
Yeah, man. You see so many people in the gym, they're just like they're training hard, but they're just so fixated on like the weight that they're moving. How big is the number? But they'll have like the worst form ever, and it doesn't really correlate to true strength. You see that all the time.
Yeah, you can. Well, there are methods to cheat, techniques and stuff, but it's really about good form.
Yeah.
And training and really that mind-muscle connection, which is something you really can't teach. You have to experience. There's some people I've been training for years and they don't get it, and then some people when you're training they can immediately they can kind of get it, and it's just more about I'm always telling people nothing's general. Think about the muscles you're working. It's like if someone's if you're doing a set of curls and you're just throwing the weight up, you're doing the movement. You're going to get something out of it.
Yeah.
But if you think about it and squeeze it and control, it's about control. You control it on the way up and the way down.
Right.
And hold. That's when you're strong. I always say you control the weights, they don't control you.
That's a good point.
So, that's just, and it's something, and it's like I can't explain it to someone. That's like I could see people can go in and do 10 sets and they're throwing stuff around, and I can go in and do 2 or 3 sets and get what I need out of it.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
it's like that difference between like somebody who's like using the inertia of the weight to try to get
The
it to move.
momentum and-
right?
yeah.
As opposed to like having actual control over whatever it is you're doing. That makes a huge difference. I always cringe whenever I see somebody who has like the tiniest legs, and then they go in there and they put like stupid amount of weight on the bench, and then like they arch their entire body into it. I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? That has to be.
You know what?
tearing up
It's
something.
funny. A couple years, because I train at home. I mean, I have 2 gyms in my house and pull-up bars and stuff. And I've gone to gyms and trained, but I think like 3 or 4 years ago, my son, he was in high school, and a bunch of his friends joined Club Fitness.
Yeah.
And he said, I want to go to Club Fitness. I want to do these classes and stuff. I was like, so I went down there and I signed him up. It was like $9.95 a month or whatever.
Right.
And I go, you know what? I'm at home. I train people all day. It's like maybe I want to just maybe go somewhere and get out of the gym here.
Right.
And socially, see people, maybe do some cardio there. They have, and even though I have a great gym here and really everything I need, it's like they have a lot of equipment there. So
Yeah.
it'd be fun to use. And when I went there and I saw people training, I was like, oh my God. It's
Oh
just,
my.
and you have to really be careful when you approach people. Like, because I want to help people.
Yeah.
I love, if I see someone doing something, the way you approach someone, there's so much ego and,
A lot of
you
ego
have to
in the
come
gym.
up and, hey, I know, what do you try? I'll see someone doing something. I go, what are you trying to work on that? Like if they're doing like tricep press downs or they're swinging on lat pull downs. And,
Yeah.
I'll say, what do you work? Like, like lat pull downs, they'll be sitting up straight and they're pulling the bar down here. And I'm like, what are you trying to work on? My lats. Well, this is really more shoulder. If you lean back slightly and you
Right.
and you keep your chest out and you pull back, you're gonna feel it. Your lats more. A
Yeah.
lot of times people they go to the gym and they just kind of and that's what when I started. You watch people and you'd look at someone, you go, oh, that guy's in really good shape. He's really big. He must know what he's doing. And you'd watch him, and that's how you'd kind of go. But then it's not always the best
Right.
person to watch. So, I was lucky. I had good instruction, and I cared about lifting, and I learned the right way to do it.
Yeah.
And,
You're fortunate then,
yeah.
because most people don't get good instruction.
Well,
from
if
the
you
get-go.
train the right way, first off, you're going to get better results.
Yeah.
And there's less chance to get injured. And if you
Right.
get injured, you're not going to want to do it. And
Right. Yeah. Injury will derail you
Yeah,
quicker
so,
than anything.
a lot. I go. You want to lift as much as you can, but never sacrifice weight for form.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's sometimes like if you have a spot and you're going heavier, and maybe there's different techniques you can do with negatives or forced reps, and you have a
Right.
partner can help you, and you can go through more than you could do by yourself. Techniques to get stronger, but
Right. Did you ever do a show? Did you ever get
never
into
did a
bodybuilding?
bodybuilding show.
No.
It's funny because everybody's like, "You're a bodybuilder." You're not. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm just a
Yeah.
guy who likes to work out. I mean, I never like the posing and all that. I never really. I
Yeah.
don't know. I didn't really have a desire to do that. I just.
Sometimes I'll be looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, damn man, I could probably try to get to a show or
Well,
something.
now I'm older. People are like you should try to get. I look at some of these things. It's funny as you get older, and if you stick with it,
Yeah.
the competition gets less.
Yes, it does.
It's like I used to do these races and stuff, and every time, like I'd be in the 44 age group, I go, damn, if I would have done this next year, I would have been in the top 3, But then by the, if the next year you get there, now you're at the youngest of the
older.
yes,
Yeah.
so
That gap gets wider.
Well, it's getting a lot wider now. Now it's sad. I think people now are just in horrible shape. The majority of people, I mean,
Terrible shape. Terrible
probably.
shape.
I think this was the first generation where the kids are in worse shape than their parents.
Yeah, I think
you know.
they're. Yeah, I think it's estimated that they'll live less.
Video games and stuff. I used to work at title boxing, and I remember after one class, this guy came up to me. He goes, "Man, this was really a tough class." He goes, "This is a lot harder than the Wii boxing." I go, "Think so?" Actually hitting a bag. And,
Yeah, you're actually doing something.
yeah, I'm standing there with a stick and punching and
Yeah,
stuff.
that was good marketing though. I mean, it got some people off their asses moving a
You
little
know
bit.
what? And I never, I'm making fun of it, but anybody who does anything, I'm just happy if
Yeah.
they do something,
Yeah.
I mean, I always say one man's workout is another man's warm up. You don't have to do what I do. I mean, I
Right.
think first I work as a trainer. It's my profession. I have gyms in my house. People are like, how much do you work out? And, it's different for me. But-
Yeah, yeah. Are you familiar with like Pavel Tatsula
Sure,
and like the whole greasing the groove?
Greasing the groove, yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm a big believer in just that whole
Totally, and
methodology.
bracing and tension and.
Yeah, you can get a lot done with isometrics.
But you have to have a body awareness. My favorite training is body weight training. I mean, the one thing that this pandemic has really kind of pointed out to me and shown me, and I think most people, is a lot of people go to the gym, but a lot of people don't know how to train.
Yes.
Like, they'll go to the gym and they've got their elliptical, or they've got a multi-gym, bench press machine, but, when they had to stay at home and they didn't really have any equipment, it's like, what can I do? I mean, there's so much you could do.
Right.
And it's,
I think this whole situation has just kind of shown that the idea of what's like normal isn't healthy. You know what I mean? Like most people think that, you know, this you hear there's I don't know, maybe there's like a headline, young person got COVID and died, but then you find out they're either like have diabetes.
well, they'll say young person, normal, healthy. I go, not. Then you start going, well, he was a little overweight and he had
Right.
this problem.
This
And
or that, and it's like you may be able to lead a somewhat normal life if you have like diabetes or hypertension or something, but that doesn't mean you're healthy. And it's almost like we have this misconstrued idea of what true health is. Does that make
well,
sense?
oh God, was I thinking? There's a you can be there's there's a difference between healthy and fit. Okay, because so think about this. So you can be fit but not be healthy. Like
Yeah.
at the Olympics, at every Olympics, there's always people who are sick or, but they still compete and they can win medals. Or like, I'll know someone that they have cancer, but they ran a marathon. So they're not healthy, but they're fit and they can run a marathon.
Right.
And then I always use someone like my mother, who's doesn't really have anything seriously wrong, but she's not fit. So you can be healthy and not have any cancer or heart issues, but you're still not fit.
Right.
It's good when you can combine both. You want to be healthy and fit,
That makes sense.
because you can be fit but smoke and drink and you're not totally healthy.
Right.
And I think you can do, everything's moderation. There isn't anything,
Yeah.
extreme.
There's a term for that. It's normal weight but metabolically obese. Normally, it's like you may look fit or you may be somewhat fit, but like internally, like you're not healthy. Like you might as well be a 500-pound human being.
Well, I think too, I mean, if you're overweight, where you carry that weight. But, when you're talking about obese, I mean, this whole measurement thing, I remember for the last 5 years when I go to I go to the doctor once a year for my yearly physical. And, I'm obese. He puts down on my thing, I'm 5'6",
Yeah.
and I weigh 160. They go, you're obese.
Yeah.
And I go, can't you put, I have to put that down. Can you make a note, because everything's not black and white.
Right.
If someone looks at my medical record for insurance or something, they go, oh, you're classified as obese. It's not about, and that's what I'll tell people too, it's not about body weight, it's about body composition.
Yes.
Someone could be my height and my weight and look totally different than me.
Right.
So it's really about body composition.
Yeah. So you're not a fan of BMI. I'm not.
No,
I'm
I
not
mean,
either.
I guess the doctor goes, they need something that's pretty.
Kind of standard.
Yeah,
Wha-
but The Rock is obese.
Yeah.
They said Arnold Schwarzenegger at his peak, he would have been obese. So,
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm in better shape than the doctor,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I wonder why
you
we
know.
still use that like that.
it's easy.
Yeah.
I think it's just some math and they do it.
Right. It just doesn't
These
make
days
sense.
you can't hurt people's feelings too. You can't say you're heavy, you're obese,
You just can't tell how it is.
But I do think like you're saying it we're talking about how the level of fitness now is the lowest. It's like when I look at articles in magazines,
Yeah.
like it'll say, these are the exercises. If you want to live a long, healthy life, these are the exercises you should do when you're 20. And then it'll say, when you're 30, you should do these exercises. And when you're 40, you should do these exercises. And then when you get to 50, it goes, these are the ones you shouldn't do. Like, don't jump, don't do squats, don't
Right.
lift things over your head. And I'm thinking, well, if they're telling you not to do them and you don't do them, that's how you get weaker. You
Right.
should, the reason, do we get weaker because we age, or do we get weaker because we stop doing things as we age? So I always, it's like people are like, how long are you going to do that? I'm going to do it till I
Right.
can't do it, and then I'll modify.
Yeah.
But as long as I can, people like, you shouldn't be jumping. You should. Why? I can. Why shouldn't I?
Yeah.
You
It's like
know.
that saying, do you stop playing because you grow old, or you grow old because you stop
Well, that's
playing?
exactly it.
Right? It's
That's
the same thing.
exactly it. And I couldn't imagine not being healthy to do the things. An example, my father, oh God, was it maybe like maybe 8 or 9 years ago? It was my parents' like 50th anniversary. My father's passed away now, but it was their anniversary, and he took our whole family on a trip to Israel.
Oh, nice.
My father, always wanted to go there and stuff, and he worked so hard his whole life and never took vacation. And so he took like 17 of us from our family. And so, I remember we would be on the tour bus, and the tour guy would go, okay, we're going to get off here, and we're going to go to the top over here and look at this ruin or look at this site.
Yeah.
And the people on the bus were like, are there stairs? Is there, and it was like they couldn't physically do things to go do it. They'd sit on, they go take a picture. And, I'm
Bring it
thinking, you
back.
came all the way out here and now you want a picture, and they'll be like, the bus is air conditioned. Where are we going for lunch? And,
Yeah.
I was like, there's the famous site Masada there, and it's like, I want to run up that. I want to run down that. I want to, it's like I look at those things. When I see stairs, I want to run. When I see something, I want to do pull-ups. I look at things,
Yeah.
different. And I'm like, you live your whole life to go somewhere, and then, now, true, it's like people are living longer now than in the history of mankind, but not healthier.
Yeah, we're sicker than
You
ever.
know, and I remember reading this article years ago, and it was called physical fitness, not like physical fitness. Physical fitness. It's like, what do you need to do, like to age? And it's like you have to take care of your body, because by the time you get to the age to retire, I know a lot of people now, they have money, they've saved, and now they're 65, and physically they can't go travel. They can't do things. They're
Right.
sick. It's like all the money and they worked for, they didn't take care of themselves physically
Right.
to go. I mean, that's one of the best things you can do for your retirement, is to work out when you're younger so you can enjoy your retirement.
Right.
It's like sitting around is
Yeah,
not good.
You just waste away. Your body atrophies.
Yeah.
Like, use it or lose it.
Well, it's all connected. Your mind, everything. I mean,
Right. Yeah, like your physical fitness will dictate like how you like interpret the world, how you interact with the world. Like it's truly the foundation, like the mind and the brain.
Look, I wouldn't know you if I didn't do jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And I'm, people like, do jiu-jitsu. I'm like, because I met you through that, and it's like, you shouldn't be doing that. It's like,
Says who?
and we're here.
Yeah.
Well, says who? Yeah.
Yeah, says who. I always say it's not about getting like the most. It's not about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. Yeah, like that's.
Yeah, there's all those
I
things,
believe,
and they're true.
but I live
and
by
as
that.
you get older,
I live by that one.
you start living by that even more.
Yeah, man, because I wouldn't be 106.
Well, speak it, because there's
Yeah.
scientific proof out there. What you say
Yeah.
and what you think is important, and influences your,
Yeah.
how it comes to truth.
Your
So
reality.
I used to say, I want to live to 100. And then I stopped saying that. I say, I'm going to live to a strong 100.
Yeah.
I don't, because someone will say, I live to 100, and for like 10 years, I'll just be against the
Just
wall like
decrepit.
this, I mean, because I know people like that too.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the quality? They could keep you alive, but it's like, there was a quote as keep on raging to stop the aging. I'm gonna wear out instead of rust out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go until I can't go.
That's a good way to do it. Are you gonna do a Tough Mudder when you're 100?
Will they
I'm
still
looking
have
around.
them?
Maybe. I'm looking around, man. You've done a lot of Tough Mudders.
I've done one Tough Mudder. A lot of these races, these were when I lived in L.A.
Yeah.
I did the Camp Pendleton Mud Run.
Okay.
And that was at Camp Pendleton twice a year. And this was I did my first mud run in 2000. And this was before they ever had any of these obstacle course races
Right.
and things. And it was really, and, I have all these pictures. It's like it just gives you a goal and
Yeah.
a challenge. You
Yeah.
know, it's funny. It just made me think the first time when we moved here and I started fixing up my gym down here, and my father came down the first time, and the gym's evolved and changed. I've moved, gotten more equipment, got rid of equipment, changed stuff. But I remember I had pictures up here, and my father's looking around at these pictures, and he goes, "You have a really nice gym." He goes, "You know what you need? More pictures of you." And I was like, okay, okay, the ego, whatever. But I look at this picture and I go, that was a Tough Mudder. I'm in better shape than I was in that 5 years ago. Or, I see that and motivate me. And a lot of these pictures are not just me, they're clients and friends that, I got them involved in this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, for training, I think you have to have a goal.
Yeah.
Some kind of goal. I mean, a lot of times people go, I'm going to my high school reunion, or I'm getting married, I want to do this. But, you have to have some kind of goal to push you. And so sometimes, my client would go, God, I'd love to do that. I go, well, let's train for it.
Yeah.
And it gets you on a day like Sunday. You might not get up and work. You go, hey, we're doing this in 2 months. We're doing this 6-mile obstacle course race in Camp Pendleton. You can't just show up. You can, but you're not going to like it, So, and we would go out and train, so it gets you out there. And then when you see that energy, it's like, and then it just kind of steamrolls.
Yeah.
And then, so I did like 16 of these, and there was a group of us. I really went with some, I have great memories of all that. And
plus, like you said, they're memories, because I would like to think I'm going to remember everything, but it just helps to have like a visual cue sometimes.
I mean, I've got Navy SEAL Challenge we did in Virginia. There's a PR Marquette race we did. I've run up. I remember I did in L.A. They have this one building. It used to be the YMCA building. I don't know what the name of it is. It's downtown. Like if you watch movies and they do like a scan of downtown, you'll always see it. It's this cylinder building, and it was the tallest building west of Mississippi. I think it was like 76 floors. And I did that race twice. It was just stair race up.
It's all the way up it.
And the first time I did it was 2001, and it was like 2 weeks after the World Trade Center was attacked. And they still had that race. And, it was amazing because that's one building, 75 floors. And I can remember parking, like for the building, and you're walking to the site to do the race. And just from 3 blocks away, you see how big that building is. And I'm thinking, man, if that building collapsed right now, I'd be dead. I mean, I'm 3 or 4 blocks away. I mean, it's just so big.
Yeah.
And I go, the World Trade Center was 2 buildings.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, that to do it at that time.
Right. Yeah.
And, and then I've done the Sears Tower. I don't think it's called it's the Willis Tower now.
In Chicago?
I've done that race twice. And I've gone with the pictures I got with a bunch of friends.
I didn't even know that was a race. People run up.
Well,
that
I
as a
think
thing?
now they've tightened it up, like for security and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean they have a stair climb race in St. Louis, but it's 43 floors. That one was like 104 floors.
Right.
And you go for that picture as you come out the top.
43 is a joke.
Well, it's not a joke, but it's like I mean,
comparison.
the thing is in St. Louis, I guess there's when they built the arch, they came up with some kind of law that you can't have any buildings taller than the arch because then you couldn't see the arch. If they made buildings downtown or in the area that were higher than the arch, it would do it. So there's nothing taller than that. I'm pretty sure.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, those stair climb races were.
Yeah, I didn't even know they did those kind of things. I want to get into doing some trail running. I think I'm going to try to do a trail marathon this winter.
Yeah.
There's one in not Creve Coeur, out at Castlewood Park. I think they think they have one every year. For the past like 2 or 3 years, they've been doing it.
Listen, I always tell people, I used to train people. I never ran a marathon, but I would train people to run marathons and stuff. And I always said it's not hard to run a marathon.
Yeah.
Training to run a marathon's hard.
Probably a whole lot harder.
You got to train. You have to train to run it.
Dude, running is not my favorite thing by any stretch of the imagination.
I don't do it that much anymore. I mean, I like running sprints. I like running hills. But,
Yeah.
and I could, every once in a while I'll go out, but like to say, let's go run 5 miles. It's
Yeah.
just,
You're
I
less
would rather get my conditioning. I get it way other
Yeah.
ways.
You seem like, so it's less about like the distance for you. It's just more about like the challenge of like whether it's the stairs or the obstacle courses. Like, is it more like the challenge that drives you?
Yeah, I like that. Like a couple of these races, because I'm not like, I like the obstacle races because like I would run every day, just like I do yoga now, but I don't consider myself a yogi, even though
Yeah.
I do it every day.
Yeah.
Like I would run every day. I'm like, I'm not a runner. Like
Yeah.
I go out there and I mean, there's
It's just
people who are
something you
like
do.
running. I do it and I get the benefits of it. But no, God, where was I going on that? I was like,
Well, I was just saying, like, you're probably more into like just the
Oh,
different
so I know.
challenges.
Well, so what it is, I'm not like a runner. So I would like these obstacle course races because, like, say I would do this one race, and so you'd run like a mile or a mile and a half, and then you'd come up to a pull-up bar,
Yeah.
and then you'd have to do 20 pull-ups, and so I could bang out 20 pull-ups pretty quick.
Yeah.
But some runner, he would be there 2 pull-ups. So it was kind of like a leapfrog.
Right.
We'd get to that spot, and so,
That's where you make up
that's where
ground.
it's like, that's why, like with fitness and strength, it's like you want to kind of be a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just a great runner, what if your car breaks down and you have to carry something or help somebody and,
Yeah.
you want to be able to do a little bit of everything.
Right. Yeah, I try to look at it, and I don't know if this was Steve Maxwell or maybe this was Pavel who kind of changed the way I word whenever, so instead of saying like I'm going to like work out, it's like I'm training. And it's
Exactly.
just, you know what I mean? It's just like I'm just, I don't,
Work out. What is a workout? It's general. It's anything. Yeah,
it's
training
anything. It's
or-
like it's training. It's like, it's movement. It's like getting the movement in.
That's all exercise is.
That's
is
it.
movement.
It's movement. People overcomplicate it, I
I
think.
came up with. I was thinking when I was running the stairs the other day. I go, what does gym stand for? This is what I made up in my head. Get yourself moving.
That makes sense.
And I want to come up with a system never gymless because you don't have to have equipment to be
You don't.
to work out.
If you need some sort of resistance, you can go pick up a heavy
Listen,
rock.
you and I, we
or a
ran the
log.
stairs. We carried each other.
Yeah.
We held each other's feet. We walked up. You can jump. There's so many ways that
Yes.
you can do, and using objects and
Right.
things.
Yeah, and I think just trying to keep in mind just like the basic movement patterns: push, pull, hinge, squat, lunge, walk. Like just keep those movement patterns in like forefront, and you can almost find something to do always.
So there was a quote. It's like, methods are many, principles are few. Methods always change. Principles never do.
Yeah.
The principles stay the same, and no, it's pretty basic.
It really is.
No,
It doesn't have to be complicated.
Well, that's what I always say. I go, I'll sometimes when I train clients, I go, this is a simple workout. Simple doesn't mean easy.
Right.
Simple, they go, oh, simple doesn't mean easy. And you can always do simple better.
Yeah.
Like you said, work on your form, slow it down,
Yeah.
focus on your movements. It's always, I'll be training people and they're like, I don't know why I don't even do curls. I don't know why I'm always like demonstrating with this, but I go, why are you going so fast?
Yeah.
I want to get it done. I go, it's not about getting it done.
Right.
I'd rather you do 5 or 6 good repetitions than 10 or 12 shitty ones.
Yeah, because those shitty reps aren't doing anything for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like people are into numbers. I did this. How much did you bench? How fast did you run? How did you do? It's like,
Yeah.
in the end, it's not, I don't compare to other people. I just compare. I could tell you every workout I've done in the last probably 35 years I've written down.
You journal everything?
Yeah, every day. I could tell you what I did, how many, every workout I did.
Oh,
and
wow.
and it's not, and it's crazy because it's not like I go back and I go, June 1987. Let me see what I did. I don't even look. I just have it there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun to go back and I go, God, what did I do that day and what I do? I'm stronger and fitter now than I've ever been.
Right.
I weigh the same as I did in freaking college, and
Yeah. Dude, that's
it's
important.
just, I always say, lifetime of fitness.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just,
There's no destination.
and the thing is, it's never too late to start.
Yeah.
You can improve at any age. I've trained people in their 80s, and really, it's really about once you reach a certain age, I think, at all the ages, like when you're in your 20s and working out, or you're in your teens and your 20s, you've got a lot of time, you want to look good, you want to, impress the girls or whatever, you're going to get a relationship. And then all of a sudden now you're like late 20s, 30s. Now you have a more steady job. Maybe you're in a relationship. You don't have the time to go as much. And now maybe you have a family. And that's how you see people slowly get out of fitness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then 40. And then they haven't been in the gym. And then they come back. I used to do this. I used to do that. I go, that was like a while ago,
Yeah.
you want to, and I understand it,
Yeah.
but you can always come back and improve, because really, as you get older, it's about quality of life and function. Like I said, I've trained an 80-year-old guy. I remember once I was like 10 o'clock at night, and my phone rings, and he's like, oh, I just want to tell you I felt my tricep. It was this 87-year-old guy I trained. And just for getting up out of bed, lifting yourself in a shower, getting off the toilet, I mean, we take for granted
People don't realize
that you can't do it. But,
yeah.
If you don't use it, you
lose it.
lose it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true that those phrases come from
I mean,
somewhere,
they're there for a reason. Yeah, people just don't realize like just how important it is to like be strong and have muscle. You know what I mean? Like,
science will tell you the people who live the longest. You said you want to live to 100. The people who live the longest have the most muscle mass. If they look at the people who are in their 80s and 90s, who are living longer, they have the most muscle mass.
I know grip strength is a big indicator of just like longevity and what was it?
There's some silly test where if you're on the ground and if you could sit up a certain way, then you're guaranteed to live longer. I mean,
I
don't know, but
I saw this. It was a cross section of a muscle, and it was like an older marathon runner, and then somebody who doesn't work out, and then you could just see like in the marathon runner's leg, just like all the muscle and not very much fat, and then the person who doesn't work out, it's just like all the muscle just completely shriveled up, and it was just all fat, and it just looked like shit.
Well, I was telling you about my father, who passed away years ago, and he passed away at home, and was. He was, for the last couple weeks, it was like hospice at home, and, people would come by and see my dad. And so my dad was 82 when he passed, and so his friends would come by, and it's people that I've known, like, as little kids, and I've seen them, and so they were probably all from, like, 79 to, like, 83 or 84, and the difference in all those people, you could tell who stayed active, who didn't. Like, someone would come up, Mike, how's your dad? Is he okay?
Yeah.
And other people would other people would come up, and they're bopping. And, I know people who are 70 who bounce around, who have the energy of someone who's like 30 or 40. They go dancing, they move, they do stuff. And I know people are 30, they're already beaten up by life. And I know people like at 30 and 40, and they're telling me about exercise and working out. Oh, I can't do that, I can't do that. I go, dude, if you're saying that at 30, you're going to have a lot of bad years ahead of you, that you're not going to enjoy life. I mean, I want to enjoy my physical. I love, sex and just being out there and like I said, going and doing challenges. I mean, what's the point of living if you can't enjoy?
Right.
I mean,
so many people. I've talked to people like in their 20s and 30s, and like, oh, I'm old. It's like they commit to that, and then they try to and then it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, you are old.
Yeah.
I laugh.
You really are. You really are. So you seem to kind of have transitioned from. And maybe this was a slow transition, but from like the classical like bodybuilder methodology to more functional training.
Well, so what happened was I was training in L.A. and I had a good business, and I was training back then, sometimes like 12, 15 people a day.
Oh, wow, you're busy.
And every day.
Yeah.
I worked every day. And it was nice because even when I was in L.A., I had gyms in my house. And I have two or three different gyms and different houses and stuff. But there came to a point one time where I was like working all these hours, and I went to my accountant at the end of the year, and I was like, man, it's like, and I was like, how can I make more money? He's like, well, there's only one way. He goes, you have to train more people, and there's only so many hours in the day.
Right.
Or you have to start training groups, start training groups. And this was probably like in 85, 86. And so I started doing boot camps out at the park. And so I started picking up, and back then there was no internet and stuff. I'd go to the bookstore and I'd pick up military, the Marines. What did the Marines do for private training? And what did the Navy SEALs do? I don't even know if there were SEALs back then, but they had. I have books still in here, over here, like the Air Force training and what do you do for the PT test and all these different exercises and body weight stuff. And it was like calisthenics and all that very different kinds of push-ups and things. And so I started doing groups out at the park, out in L.A. I would meet at 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. and do these boot camps and get 10 people, 15 people. Sometimes I had 5 people in a boot camp, but I still went out there and did it because if you build it, they will come. It's like you're out at the park even with 5 people. I tell people start even if you have 1 person, because you're out there and then someone will see you. People would come up. What are you guys doing?
Yes.
Oh, why don't you come join us tomorrow and work out with us?
Yeah.
All these runners would work around the park and we'd be out there doing jumping jacks and arm circles and all these movements, and people would like make fun. I said, hey, stop. We'd get in a circle. Come do it with us. And they'd do some of these movements with us for like 10 minutes. They're like, I'm never going to make fun of you again. And stop. And so I started doing groups, and then I started doing these obstacle races and stuff. And it's funny. I mean, you just kind of evolve. I mean, but I think that, which a lot of people don't do now, they don't have that foundation, that bodybuilding foundation of just basic exercises, squats, lunges, pull downs, pull ups, deadlifts, all bench press, incline bench press. People with the internet, there's so much flashy fitness. They see these people who are Instagram, influencers, and I'm like, that's awesome, but I don't think they train like that. Like, they're just doing this to promote themselves. They're not doing that every day. I mean, you can't train like that every day, and the average person can't. I mean, there's some amazing athletes, and it's like, but the average person, just the basics. Yeah. And so you build that foundation, and then you could go try to do some now jump lunges and now, other movements and things. So, I think that was great. I mean, also back in the 80s, like the aerobics, there's that movie with Jamie Lee Curtis and John Travolta in the club and stuff, and aerobics was big. I was so uncoordinated, grapevine, this and that. I'm like, I never could do it.
You're almost dancing in
I was like, I'd rather go run. I'll run some sprints,
right.
And maybe go there to meet people. But
it's just like,
so bad.
The barbell training is like foundational for a lot of people. And I still love deadlifts, but
I do barbell squats like once a week. I try to go, heavy. I mean, sometimes in my head, I could do this, and it's not worth getting hurt.
Right.
Because it's really about longevity.
Right.
I mean, you could do everything totally safe, and you could still get injured. I've worked out hard, and I've been walking down the stairs and turned my head. I'm like, oh, my back went out.
It happens.
So
it definitely happens.
Things happen. But
when did you start?
I also think I've saved myself from a lot of injuries because I was strong. Maybe from falling or tripping or something, and I've had good balance, and I was strong muscles. I could catch myself.
So where did some of the more like unconventional tools come in? Like, I mean, you got the Bulgarian bags here. I mean, obviously you do a lot with kettlebells now.
I love kettlebells. If you said you could have one tool, if you were on a desert island and you could have one tool to train with, I'd give me a kettlebell. One kettlebell, sure. Yeah. And I owe that to, I consider my mentor, a good friend, Sean Mosen. And he was the first person to bring kettlebells to Canada.
Really?
Yeah. And he was one of Pavel's in one of his original classes. I know it was Steve Maxwell, and I think there was Mike Mahler.
That's back when they had, I think it was RKC.
RKC, right. Yeah. That was when it was RKC. This was back in, so I love, like I told you in the beginning, I love like the old strongman stuff. So I used to have some kettlebells that I bought in my gym like in the 80s.
Oh,
but
shit.
I never, and they were just 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Now I was like, and I never used them like I thought they were like old man strongman tools, and I used them. Okay, I'll do curls and I'll do upright rows,
right.
And I didn't use them as kettlebells. And I'm not to be a snob, but I think a lot of people train with kettlebells, but they don't do kettlebell training. And I use it too for fitness. I'm kind of a fitness person. I mean, there's, the kettlebell competitions where, they're doing the jerks and the snatches and all that. And those are amazing freaking athletes. But I wanted more rounding. I wanted to incorporate lunges and squats and all those other things into the training.
Yeah.
And so what happened was I was teaching a course with Sean. We were teaching this course called Combat Conditioning. We were like, it was a program that was started through this Commando Krav Maga. They wanted to have a fitness section to train people. And the creator of that got Sean and I together, and we were going to start presenting the courses. And so we did a course in LA, and it was body weight and different kinds of partner training, and kettlebells. Sean was like the kettlebell guy, and it was a 2-day course, and he did about a 3-hour section on just basic swings and showing you the possibilities.
Yeah.
You can't teach it in it takes, I could teach you how to hold it and do a goblet squat in 2 seconds, but like to teach swings and cleans and snatches, it takes instruction.
You gotta know how to hinge.
Yeah, and so I watched him do it, and I was like, this is really what you use kettlebells for. And so when I came back to St. Louis, we did the course in LA. I got some kettlebells, and I started researching. And then Sean and I did another course. So we did a course in Florida for these police officers, as SWAT guys, and that was part of it. And I got more into the kettlebells. And then, I said, can you come out here and, train a bunch of us in that? And then I'd taken a couple other courses and stuff. But the kettlebells, to me, it's full body. When you use them right. And, most people go to the gym and they'll do an exercise and then they'll rest and then they'll go walk over someone else. I'm like, it's that compound, working a lot of muscles in a compact amount of time. Especially now, people don't have lots of time. I said, I go, I can train in 20 minutes. And people it's a different kind of training, doing circuits and not resting and flowing from one move to the next move.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally different. So, kettlebells, and then, you're always searching out other stuff, and there's Bulgarian bags. I saw that, and just different fun tools that as a trainer, you want to bring something different to your clients.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I'm selfish. I always do it for me, and then, I feel like, hey, I think it's like I'm not going to sell something if I don't do it and I don't like it.
Right. So you got to do it for a little bit.
And I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I still think is great. I just haven't had the chance to do. But like I said, I like one kettlebell, and it's funny because I can remember back in the 80s, like if you'd get a client, I started doing private training back in the 80s. And you'd go to someone's house. They go, can you train me? Can you come to my house and train me? So you look at them and you go, okay, I'm going to take a 20-pound pair of dumbbells, and I'll take a 8-pound for lateral raises. I'll take a step. I'll grab a medicine. You're bringing a freaking moving into their house.
Yeah.
Now if you said, hey, I want to train, I said, I'll meet you at the park. I'll bring one kettlebell. And we can train, the whole body.
Yeah.
And mix it in with, body weight and kettlebell. And so I love that. And I think it's opened up a lot of things for a lot of trainers, because you don't need all that other stuff.
Yeah. Are you a hard style kind of? Yeah. I prefer that.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing this. It was the American kettlebell swing or some shit.
Well, that's always a big thing. I mean,
I don't like it. I mean, I get it.
People are very snobby and all these things. Well, here's
it.
what I was always told about the American swing, because that's through CrossFit.
You're right.
And I got certified through Jeff Martone at CrossFit.
Okay.
I was a CrossFit kettlebell instructor, and he was great. I mean, he's famous for kettlebell juggling, and he's super strong. He also did kettlebell sport. I mean, he's an awesome athlete, tactical. I think his tactical what's the name of his organization?
TacFit.
I don't know if that's it, but it's something. But was I to say on
the hard style versus the American style?
Yeah. Oh, with the American style swing. So this is so CrossFit does competitions, and everything's for time.
Right.
Okay, so if you're just doing a swing, like when I teach people swing, they go, "How far should I bring the swing?" Well, there isn't really. You can bring it depending on the weight, depending on what you're working. I always say you can anywhere from groin height to chest or chin height.
Yeah.
American swing, they're bringing the kettlebell over your head, and like when I trained with Sean, he would always say, "Look, if you're going to bring a kettlebell over your head, just snatch a kettlebell."
Yeah.
The thing is about the CrossFit is they do things for time. So if one person's swinging it here and one person's swinging it nose height, one person's swinging at waist height, and he got done with 20 swings and then moves on to the next thing, the other guy's swinging it higher.
Yeah.
So they go, let's make it universal. Let's bring it over the head. So it was a measure where they could count the reps.
I never knew
now,
where
that's
that
what
came
I
from.
always thought. So it was a way that they could count the reps because, you're thinking, what's the benefit? What am I getting out of this by bringing it this much higher? Plus, if I was training someone who never did kettlebell swings and now they're gripping the kettlebell and they're taking this thing over their head, it's not really safe.
Right.
Teaching them how to do a snatch is a lot safer
Right.
than swinging. It's safer.
I always just feel like it invites you're going to compensate with your shoulders as opposed to like really using your glutes and like exploding
Well, that's what you were
through.
saying with the hip hinge. It's
Right.
not a front raise and a squat.
Right.
It's a hip hinge and it's a full body movement. It's an arc. It's like you're just swinging it. I always,
Yeah.
So it's hard to,
I don't want to be that snob. I'm not a fan.
No,
of
no, it's not.
but
No, it's not. Listen, cross all that. It's like whatever you do, I'm like,
Just move.
I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever. It got people in the community and it got them working out.
That's true.
And, but people are always kind of like, my way's the best way, and this. And
Yeah.
that, I'm kind of like it all.
Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely I try
Take
to
it and make your own. You learn from everything.
There's no one right way to do anything. I feel like, but some ways are better than others.
Well, so again, it's like there's a lot of ways to get up the mountain.
Right.
And so, you can take this path or you can go this path as long as it's safe.
Yeah.
And, the two things is like you don't get injured. If you're doing something you're going to get injured, then it's not good.
Right.
And are you going to get the benefit from it? If you get the so I've seen people do some funky stuff, but if it works for them,
Yeah, everybody's different.
everybody is different
Right.
and everybody is different.
Right.
What works for you and you're a different height and your body moves different, but
Yeah, and then you just got to figure out what me personally, I have terrible mobility in my ankles, so it's like that's something I'm always have to work around or something. So it's just like you just got to work within your own capabilities and just try to improve from there.
yeah. Well, that's it. You improve. You do what you can. You make your you turn your weaknesses into your strengths.
Yeah.
You make your strengths stronger.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't.
yeah.
A lot of people, like you were saying, with no legs, you don't neglect your weaknesses.
Right.
You turn.
Can't do
You
that
have
shit.
to. Yeah, they'll come back to get you.
Right. Now, you used to, we talked about this a little bit briefly at some point. You mentioned you used to do some acting and some stunt work.
Oh, I tried. Yeah. I went down the way, yeah.
How crazy was that? Did you ever get injured doing that? Doing stunt
No.
work? No.
Just my ego and my.
Yeah. Any fun
My
stories
mind.
from those times?
I can remember the first stunt I got that got me in the union. I was doing extra work, background work, and it was a scene in Venice Beach,
Yeah.
and we're just call in your roller skates, people all around bathing. If you see a movie and it's Venice Beach, all those background people are not just Venice Beach people; they're all paid background
right.
and stuff. And I remember I was a background person, just hanging out, and it was a chase scene on the beach, and the wrestler, Big John Studd, I don't know if you ever remember, he was like 6'9". He was a big WWE wrestler back in the day, and he was being chased, and he ended up crashing into me in the scene and knocked me down. And I ended up getting what they say, get converted on the show, and I got upgraded, and that was like the
So you got some
stunt
credit
on
for that.
Yeah, so but yeah, it was just fun.
That's just such an interesting world to be in. I
It's different now.
I
It's
bet.
totally different.
I bet. I have a friend who lives in LA, and he does a lot of some of those smaller roles, background roles and different things. And man, I can just only imagine being on set all day and just some of the different things that you see. I bet it was some crazy times.
Well, it's like funny. I was like, I love I was a theater major. I love
Right.
acting, and like I said, I ended up going out to L.A. because I loved more movies
Right.
growing up
So
as
was
a
that part
kid
of the
and
goal, like when
stuff.
you moved out there, like try to be in movies and shit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
trying to get in movies, and
Yeah.
and so I did movies, and then I always worked out, and that's how I almost. I always trained. I was thinking the other day how I actually got in with personal training. I mean, personal training hasn't always been around like that. I don't know. Did you ever hear Jake Steinfeld?
Mm-mm.
He was probably the first personal celebrity trainer. Now
Really?
there's, now anybody in LA is, if you live in LA, you train celebrities because
Yeah.
there's celebrities around.
Everywhere.
But yeah, and I started. I would train with friends. I just worked out all the time, and then one of my friends said, we want you to train us. And I was like, you're my friends. I'm not gonna, we work out. And he's like, well, we're gonna hire a trainer. So if you don't want to train us, well, I said, what time do you want me to be there tomorrow? And I started training them.
Oh, so you became a
And
celebrity trainer.
and so no, well, this was just regular guys. I trained them, and then then one guy after a couple weeks said, "Hey, my cousin wants to train," and so back then, like you trained, like I trained people. There was different gyms. Like I'd go to Gold's Gym. There was one in North Hollywood and stuff. And you would just go to the gym, and I'd say, "Okay, I'll train you. Buy a membership to Gold's Gym, and I'll meet you there at 9 o'clock." And then you'd start training people. They would come at 9, and then you'd say, okay, now, back then I would train people an hour. Now I train people 30, 40 minutes. It's way more intense and
Yeah.
different. And so I'd have people come every hour. And then, so what happened was, this is what, like, probably late 80s, early 90s. Then, so Gold's Gym, they saw that a lot of people were having people come in, and they were training people. And then they said, from now on, you can't train clients here. You have to, pay us
Yeah. To be a trainer for
because,
them.
yeah. And then they started even going farther than that, going, you have to take our certification
Oh,
to
wow.
train people there and stuff. So, and that's when I kind of like started doing it, like I put it into my house. I
Okay.
went out and I bought some equipment and just started training people out of my house. And some of that, like that dumbbell rack was in my first apartment
Oh, wow.
in Studio City. I mean, the stuff will last forever.
Forever.
If you use it. I mean, dumbbells, kettlebells, they're
Yeah.
not, I've had them forever.
Yeah, weight doesn't really depreciate. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just.
I could have made some money. I mean, I gave away and lent out so much equipment during the pandemic.
Oh, yeah?
People would call me up, hey, man, can I borrow some kettlebells? And dumbbells. And
Yeah, you could have made some scratch.
yeah. So,
Dang. Do you ever train with like clubs or maces or anything like that?
I have some maces, and I follow people who do,
Yeah.
and, I've just never really
Haven't got
got
into
it.
it.
I know you took a course. Did it on it? Or?
Yeah, I went down to On It and I did their kettlebell, not their kettlebell, but I did their steel club and their steel mace course
I
separately.
think they're great for mobility stuff and shoulder.
Yeah, they're great for the shoulder.
Conditioning.
Yeah, grip strength. I mean, the mace has been around for thousands of years.
yeah.
Like, I mean, they've been using it
I mean,
in the
all
Middle
these
East
tools
and
have been,
wrestlers.
I mean, the kettlebells have been around for hundreds of years,
Yeah.
and people would work out with bricks and things like that. Similar. It's funny how other cultures, like even martial arts, like every culture has their martial art, and they're all kind of similar.
Yeah.
It's just kind of evolves that they somehow come up with it.
Yeah,
So.
that's true. That's so true. Dang, man. Yeah, you've been in the fitness industry for a long time. I know you said you used to do
Yeah, I
Krav
mean-
Maga, right?
Well,
And you had
that's
a
what
school
got me
here,
to
right?
St. Louis.
You opened a
got me to
school here?
St. Louis. Yeah, we opened. I had a friend. We moved here from L.A.
Yeah.
Sam Sadeh. He was one of the top Krav Maga instructors in the country at the time.
Oh.
We trained together in L.A. and we moved out here and opened up the first school.
Wow.
And from there, it's a lot of people have benefited and gone on from there. We had a school here for about 8 years, and then we closed up. But
Did you ever do any like fight coordination or like consulting on
Little
with
bit.
some of that?
yeah,
Because I know I think in the Christopher Nolan Batman series, I think they had him doing a lot of Krav Maga on that. I do believe.
Yeah, I mean, I know the one movie that really made it famous. Jennifer Lopez did the movie. I think it was Enough,
Yeah.
where she played an abused. Noah Wiley was in it. She
Right.
played an abused woman.
Right, and she was running from her husband.
And running from her husband. And it's funny because I trained Bruce Young. He played her Krav Maga self-defense instructor
Okay.
in the movie, and he's originally from St. Louis. He was worked a lot. He was a great actor.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
I haven't talked to him in years and years. I don't even have any idea where he is, but he was and I trained him for a while out in L.A., and that kind of put Krav Maga
On the map.
Yeah, as far as
Yeah.
people liked it. I originally got into it. One of my students, a guy I trained,
Yeah.
he would come. It was an older guy. He was in his 50s, and he would come work out with me. And every time he would get to my house, he'd have like a black eye or he'd have bruise. I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Oh, I'm doing Krav Maga. I love it." I was like, "I got to check this out,"
Fight Club.
And then I just started. And I loved it.
Dang.
And
Yeah.
because here's the thing: at the time I was probably in my late 30s. I'd done over the years Taekwondo and different martial arts, and I wasn't into the the uniforms and
Bowing.
I had my 16-year-old Taekwondo instructor. Yes, sir. Not that I'm too good for that, but it's like
Right.
I wanted something that was efficient, that seemed like it would work more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And wasn't about katas and forms, and
Yeah.
it was same you say, we were more martial, less art.
Yeah.
And
I mean-
stuff with the elbows and the knees and the headbutts and
That's all
that kind of
applicable.
stuff.
Yeah. I feel like any martial art that's giving out black belts to kids probably isn't the most
We used to
legit.
say, I mean, and nothing against, I know, because my kids did Taekwondo. We used to kid and say, it's take your dough.
Yeah.
Take your dough. So you're going to take your dough. Come 6 times, we'll give you a stripe, and then but it was always, what? Now kids don't get exercise. They don't have PE.
Right.
And all our martial arts instructors, the kids that had the kids were always like, do your homework, listen to your parents. I mean,
Right.
and they were getting exercise, and it depends on the kid. I mean, in anything, it's not, people used to come to school. I'm like, it's not Krav Maga, it's not Jiu-Jitsu, it's the person.
Yeah.
I know people that have never taken a self-defense class in their life, but if you attacked them on the street, you would have to kill them because they're not going
They're
to.
just
It's
tough.
the
Yeah.
that heart of a lion that's not going to quit. I
Yeah.
mean, people used to. That was one of the things with the school. They take a class and they, you'd walk out of there, and I'm like, don't go get a tattoo and don't go get in any fights. It's like, because it makes, first off, exercise and you feel like you're doing something. But, to me, that's why I love jiu-jitsu. It's the closest real thing that you can get to, like, combat.
Yeah.
Because even though you're doing reality in those things, you're not really hitting somebody. In jiu-jitsu, someone's really trying to choke you.
Right.
And that feeling.
Yeah.
Even in Krav, you're working on chokes. It's
not quite
still,
the same.
it's not.
It's definitely one of
it's
the
all good. It's good.
Yeah. It's definitely one of the few arts where you can like go all out and like you're not probably gonna get hurt. You know what I mean? Like you can go roll with somebody, you can both go as hard as you possibly can, and either you get the submission or you don't. You know what I mean?
Don't be afraid to tap. That's what I've learned.
Tap early, tap often.
That's it. Take that ego, and it's a learning process because you're not used to having people. Adults aren't used to having people like
No.
squeeze them and
Yeah.
lay on them and try to crush them.
It's that stress training. I feel like that stress training is so important. Like I know that's a big thing with like in the military. Like I mean, especially the high level operators, like they stress train them constantly. Because when shit hits the fan, you got to be able to keep your cool. And that's a big thing, at least with jiu-jitsu and a lot of martial arts probably in general, but in particular jiu-jitsu, I mean, you get used to like having somebody on you trying to like take your head off, trying to choke you, trying to break a limb. And if you can learn to like breathe and be calm in that situation, you can probably apply that to most any kind of area of your life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I totally agree.
Well,
I love it.
Mike, it's been about an hour, buddy.
No way.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
Hour 8 is what this says. Hour 8 minutes. So
Holy cow.
time's flying, man. Dude, this has been a fun conversation.
I appreciate you. I love, I mean, I can't stress enough how important it is for people to exercise, and especially now,
Yeah.
with everybody talks about the immune system and,
Well, dude, yeah. I mean, just be healthy. You're my Steve Maxwell because I heard Steve Maxwell on Rogan one time, and he was talking about like, oh, you can't really like you don't want to train with younger guys because they don't really know anything. And I'm just like, well, I don't really know anybody who's like around that age who's as active as he is. And then I met you. I'm like, holy shit, this guy is like.
Well, I love people who work hard.
Yeah.
I used to have people in my they'd call me up and go, oh yeah, I train really hard, and they'd come in. I'm like, that's not hard.
Yeah.
You know, I'd kid, and when the clients would come in, I'd have one lady come in, and someone would be leaving. Oh, that lady works out really hard. It's like, that's not even a warm up.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not. Again, it's like it's not judging yourself against other people. It's judging yourself against yourself. And that
Right.
was another thing with jiu-jitsu was like, for me, it's like, you know, I roll with these guys and I'm always the worst one. And they go, but you're better than you would beat the guy you were 5 years ago or 4
100%.
years ago.
Yeah.
And I would kill the guy who was 20 years old when I thought I could do anything. But it's you know, so it's like there's a quote, comparison is the thief of joy. Don't compare it to other people.
100%.
Compare it to yourself, you know, and that's just, the journey never ends, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't end.
Well, dude, you're just so motivating, dude. Like, we did that yoga class, and, like, you're in there crushing it. Like, you're fucking doing yoga. You make no excuses. We hit that fucking stair workout. Like, that
We'll
was...
do it again, man. I love it. You were like one of the few guys who, you know, I take people up there. It's like you could tell, man. But you know, you're just so humble, and I thought you were in great shape, and you know, I respect you and what you do because I know that you can't get to the level where you were at without just going through it.
Well, I'm just trying to be like you, my friend.
Man,
Just trying to be like you.
Be better. That's what I always say. You could be a lot better. You know,
Oh, man,
And
one day.
Awesome.
Dude, is there anything like anywhere you'd like to direct the people to if they want to like check you out or anything?
You know, this pandemic has got me, you know, now I'm doing virtual training, which I look at you know, I always try to find the positive thing, and I'd always wanted to do kind of more of a online virtual, and I'm not that I'm old school, all that, you know, I like seeing people in person, but it's opened me up to that. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm trying to work now on a website and try to, you know, get people, you know, and start doing more to reach out to more people.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I would say right now, Mike Diamond Fitness on Instagram and Mike Diamond on Facebook, and I always like respond if you message me and interested in, you know, working out. And so I like helping people, and like I said, I've seen people make amazing changes in their life through exercise, and so.
Dude, well, you're the perfect example.
Well, thank you, man.
Thanks again, my man.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Till next time.